You know they found this girl, right?
Where?
In our neighborhood. Down our main street.
Is she good?
No,
No,
she's not.
she's dead. That's why this is very important. It's all on you right now.
What is my problem?
You were
You
the
were
last
the
one
last
with
one
her.
seen with her. So right now, it's facing you right now, son.
It was the day before Mother's Day in St. John's, Florida, a town known for its quiet streets and close-knit community. 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey had just finished dinner with her family. A cheerleader at Patriot Oaks Academy, Tristyn was bright, ambitious, and well-loved. That night, she FaceTimed with a friend, a boy in a baseball cap. Soon after midnight, she slipped out of the house. Her family assumed she was in bed, but when morning came and Tristyn was nowhere to be found, panic set in. Calls went unanswered. Her parents searched every corner of the neighborhood. Nothing. Finally, they reported her missing. The community sprang into action. Police dogs, drones, and volunteers combed the woods and cul-de-sacs. As detectives pieced together Tristyn's last known moments, one name kept coming up: Aiden Fucci, a 14-year-old classmate. He was the last person seen with her. When questioned, Aiden offered a vague timeline that didn't add up. He claimed she'd gone off to meet a drug dealer. His story was shaky, and his behavior was strange. Then a chilling Snapchat surfaced. Aiden had taken a selfie in the back of a patrol car with the caption, "Hey guys, has anybody seen Tristyn lately?" That image chilled everyone to the bone. No one had expected this. Not here, not in St. John's. But it was only the beginning of a case that would horrify the nation. A bright young girl was gone, and the boy next door, who once seemed just a little odd, was now at the center of a growing nightmare. Something terrible had happened that night, and the truth was about to come out. By late afternoon on May 9th, 2021, the search had grown urgent. Volunteers moved through thickets and woods behind the Durbin Crossing neighborhood, not far from the Bailey home. The area, usually serene, now buzzed with helicopters overhead and search parties on foot. Then, at 6 p.m., a call came in. A local man out for a walk had spotted something unsettling near a retention pond in a quiet wooded area. At first it looked like a mannequin, but as police arrived and cleared the area, the truth emerged. It was Tristyn. She had been brutally stabbed 114 times. 49 of those wounds were defensive, as if she had fought for her life. The shock of it broke through the neighborhood like a wave of cold horror. A vibrant young girl now reduced to a crime scene. Investigators quickly returned to Aiden Fucci, now officially a suspect. A search warrant was executed at his home. Blood-stained shoes were found in his bedroom. Chi. Bloody sweatshirt. DNA results would later confirm it was Tristyn's blood. Even more damning was the knife sheath discovered nearby, a missing piece to the murder weapon. Detectives now faced a brutal, senseless crime, not committed by a stranger, but allegedly by a classmate. A boy just 14 years old. A boy who had no criminal record, no history of violence, yet had allegedly committed one of the most shocking murders in St. Johns County's history. The question haunted everyone. Why? What could drive a teenager to take a life so viciously? For the Bailey family, grief had just begun, and for Aiden's family, a different kind of nightmare was unfolding. The community's innocence had been shattered, and a trial of truth was on the horizon. As investigators dug into Aiden Fucci's behavior that day, a chilling detail emerged. A Snapchat selfie taken after Tristyn's disappearance, while the search was still underway. In the photo, Aiden is sitting in the back of a police car. He holds up a peace sign wearing a subtle smirk. The caption reads, "Hey guys, has anybody seen Tristyn lately?" It was as if he was taunting the world, testing whether he'd gotten away with it. The image spread like wildfire on social media. Some thought it was a joke, others were horrified. But to law enforcement, it was a red flag and a warning of something darker lurking beneath the surface. Soon after, Aiden was brought in for questioning. His story shifted repeatedly. He claimed he and Tristyn had walked together, but she kept going alone. Then he said he pushed her, and she hit her head. But there was no sign of blunt force trauma, only stab wounds. Police noted his demeanor, calm, aloof even as the gravity of the situation grew. At one point, while left alone in the interrogation room, Aiden muttered to himself, saying, "Please, demons, help me get out of this." It wasn't just disturbing, it was haunting. The notion of voices in his head, of demons, of blame, shifting from guilt to something supernatural. Meanwhile, the Bailey family was left to process not only Tristyn's death, but the unimaginable cruelty of how it had happened. Her friends were reeling, her teachers were stunned, and her community began placing candles, photos, and flowers near the wooded area where her body was found. For many, the Snapchat selfie was the moment everything changed. It wasn't just a crime anymore. It was a tragedy captured in real time. As detectives followed the breadcrumbs, the evidence started piling up, and it pointed clearly in one direction: Aiden Fucci. Back at the Fucci home, police obtained a search warrant. What they found behind those quiet suburban walls would send a chill through even the most seasoned investigators. In Aiden's bedroom, tucked inside a laundry basket, were a pair of white Nike sneakers, stained with blood. Nearby, a sweatshirt was also splattered. A knife sheath was found in his room, and in the bathroom sink, traces of blood were discovered, hastily rinsed but still detectable. Forensic tests would later confirm what everyone feared: the blood matched Tristyn Bailey's DNA. The illusion of teenage innocence was shattering, fast. This wasn't just a tragic loss of life, it was premeditated, calculated, cruel. Investigators also uncovered chilling statements from his classmates. In the days before the murder, Aiden had reportedly spoken about wanting to kill someone for fun, and that he wanted to watch what it felt like. Some brushed it off as teenage bravado. Others now realized it had been a warning. When confronted with the evidence, Aiden offered inconsistent stories. He fidgeted, laughed, smirked. His mother, Crystal Smith, tried to shield him. In surveillance footage from inside the house, she is seen entering the bathroom and scrubbing Aiden's jeans, possibly trying to destroy evidence. That moment too would have consequences, but the weight of what had happened was undeniable. A 13-year-old girl was gone, stabbed 114 times, many wounds defensive, meaning she fought for her life. This wasn't a sudden accident. This was brutal, prolonged, personal. Aiden Fucci was arrested for second-degree murder, but as the details emerged, it became clear second degree wouldn't be enough. The charge was soon upgraded. Aiden Fucci would be tried as an adult. As Aiden, Fucci sat in the back seat of a police cruiser, handcuffed and uncertain of what lay ahead. One image would cement his case in the public's memory forever. It wasn't the blood-stained shoes, not even the knife sheath. It was a Snapchat selfie taken just hours after the murder from the back seat of that police car. In the photo, Aiden wore a casual smirk. He held up a peace sign. The caption read, "Hey guys, has anybody seen Tristyn lately?" The image spread like wildfire. What kind of person jokes about a missing girl while being questioned in connection with her disappearance? The public was stunned. Outrage mounted. This wasn't grief, it wasn't fear. It looked like mockery. To prosecutors, it was damning. To the Bailey family, it was a slap in the face. As investigators gathered more evidence, the Snapchat post became a symbol of Aiden's cold indifference. They now had blood evidence, witness statements, and digital footprints, including internet searches and messages hinting at dark fantasies. The more that surfaced, the less Aiden looked like a confused teenager, and the more he resembled a boy, spiraling into darkness, fully aware and unapologetic. In court, the photo was entered as evidence of his mindset after the killing. He wasn't panicking. He wasn't remorseful. He was smiling. The courtroom stared in silence when the image was shown. It wasn't just that Aiden had committed a murder. It was how little he seemed to care. This wasn't just a crime. It was a portrait of moral decay, one that the world couldn't look away from. The town of Durbin Crossing was once a place where parents let their children ride bikes until dusk, and neighbors exchanged smiles at the mailbox. But after Tristyn Bailey's death, an uneasy silence settled over everything. Porches that once buzzed with life now displayed flickering candles. Green ribbons were tied to trees, mailboxes, and backpacks, symbols of remembrance for Tristyn. But something else floated in the air. Fear, confusion, division. Parents looked at their own children differently. If Aiden Fucci, a boy raised in the same streets, could do this, who else might? Rumors spread quickly in school hallways and grocery store aisles. Some questioned Aiden's upbringing. Others whispered about his obsession with dark things, violence, demons, knives, and then came the guilt. Classmates wondered if they had missed signs. Teachers asked if they had done enough. Friends of both Aiden and Tristyn were caught in a painful limbo, torn between grief and disbelief. In group chats and community meetings, people asked, how could a 14-year-old kill a classmate so brutally? Why didn't someone see it coming? The Baileys grieved behind closed doors, while the Fuccis faced public scorn. Aiden's family moved under a shadow, enduring death threats and isolation. Meanwhile, the media pounced. National headlines sensationalized the story. Teenage killer in St. Johns County. Snapchat murder, a selfie, and a stabbing. But to the residents, this wasn't just a headline. It was home, and home no longer felt safe. In parks once, filled with laughter, there was silence. At bus stops, parents hovered closer. At night, some left porch lights on, for Tristyn, for peace, or just to chase away the dark, because one act had shattered something precious, and nobody knew how to put it back together. Inside a cold, grey interrogation room, Aiden Fucci sat slouched, his hands fidgeting nervously in his lap. Hours had passed since his arrest. The gravity of his actions had not yet sunk in, or maybe he refused to let it. Across the table sat a detective with tired eyes and a calm voice, but behind every question was a mountain of pain. Aiden, tell me what happened that night. At my. First he denied everything, shrugged, claimed he didn't remember, but when the detective showed him the selfie, the one he took in the back of the patrol car, flashing a peace sign with the caption, "Hey guys, has anyone seen Tristyn lately?" The room changed. The air thickened. Silence grew louder. Then came the moment. In a low, shaky voice, Aiden said, "I think I took her life." He didn't cry. He didn't yell. He just stared at the wall as the truth seeped from his lips in fragments. She wanted to walk back. "I didn't want to. I pulled out the knife." The detective leaned forward. "How many times, Aiden?" I don't know. A lot." He whispered something else, barely audible. "She didn't scream at first. Then she did." The room froze. The confession was chilling, not just for what was said, but for what wasn't. Remorse, emotion, humanity. It was as if he were telling a story about someone else. Outside the room, his parents wept. The community watched in horror as clips from the footage were released. People weren't just mourning Tristyn. They were grappling with a darker realization. A child had done this. Aiden wasn't a man. He was a boy with a blade. And somehow, that made it worse. The courthouse was packed. Outside, a sea of teal ribbons, Tristyn's favorite color, lined the gate. People wore shirts that read "Justice for Tristyn." Inside, reporters, family, and heartbroken neighbors gathered, all bracing themselves for what would unfold. Aiden Fucci, now older, sat silently in a crisp suit, looking smaller than the crime he had committed. His hair was shorter, his expression flatter. No longer the boy from the Snapchat photo, but not quite a man either. When the prosecution began, they didn't start with photos or videos. They began with her name, Tristyn. Bailey was 13 years old. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend, and a fighter. One by one, the evidence was laid out. Painstakingly, clinically, heartbreakingly. The 114 stab wounds. The knife found in a nearby pond. His chilling statements to friends before the crime. Aiden's own words echoed in the courtroom like ghosts. "I'm going to kill someone." On the defense side, his attorneys tried to paint a picture of a troubled boy. One with possible mental illness. A broken home. A spiral no one stopped in time, but for many it wasn't enough. In the crowd sat Tristyn's mother, eyes locked on Aiden. Her pain was quiet but immense. She didn't speak, but her presence filled the room. The jury watched both sides, but the weight of the evidence was impossible to ignore. As the trial wore on, the question wasn't whether Aiden did it, It was how to sentence someone so young for something so horrific. Was he beyond redemption, or had society failed him long before? He failed Tristyn. One thing was certain. This trial wasn't just about justice, it was about reckoning. The courtroom fell silent as the judge prepared to speak. Aiden Fucci stood motionless. His eyes were downcast. He was no longer the smirking teenager from the early images. The weight of what he had done hung visibly on his frame. Tristyn Bailey's family filled the front row. Her siblings held hands. Her mother clutched a photo of Tristyn taken just weeks before the tragedy, radiant, alive, and full of dreams. Before the sentence was delivered, the courtroom heard victim impact statements. Tristyn's older sister stepped forward. Her voice trembled. "You stole from us. You stole birthdays, graduations, her future wedding, her laugh. We live every day in her absence." Aiden didn't raise his head, but his lip quivered. Whether from shame or fear, no one could be sure. His own mother also spoke. Tearful, broken, "He's not a monster, he's my son and I failed him." And then the judge spoke. His words were slow, deliberate, measured. "Aiden Fucci, the pain you've caused is immeasurable. This was not an accident. It was premeditated, brutal and senseless. You were 14 when you made a decision that forever changed countless lives. And then the sentence, life in prison, no possibility of parole." Gasps rippled through the room. Some wept, some nodded, some stared forward, emotionally numb. Aiden's shoulders sagged. He didn't speak. No dramatic outburst, just silence. For Tristyn's family, the sentence didn't bring closure. Nothing could return their daughter, but it did bring a measure of accountability. Outside the courthouse, people held candles and photos of Tristyn. They whispered her name. They prayed. Inside, justice had been served, but it felt hollow, because in this story no one truly won. Time moved on, but the wound remained. Tristyn Bailey's name became more than a headline. It became a symbol. Her school created a memorial garden. Blue ribbons, the color she loved, adorned trees and lockers. Her teammates retired her cheer uniform, placing it in a glass case by the gym with the words, "Fly high, Tristyn." Her family established a foundation in her honor, advocating for youth violence prevention, mental health awareness, and kindness in schools. "Let her legacy be love," her mother would say at public events. And it was. Across the country, people who had never met Tristyn began to speak her name. She was a reminder of how fragile life is and how deeply one act can ripple through an entire community. As for Aiden Fucci, he disappeared behind prison walls. Occasionally, his name would resurface in news stories. But there were no more TikToks, no more smirks, only silence and a future defined by a single night of unimaginable violence. Some wondered what could have changed his path, others debated the justice system. But for most, one truth echoed louder than the rest. A 13-year-old girl should have come home that night. Years passed and still, each May 9th, candles were lit. Balloons were released into the sky. And through it all, one voice remained constant. Tristyn's little sister, now older, stronger, standing at a school assembly one spring morning, she looked out at the crowd and said, "Evil tried to take her light, but look around. She's still shining. In every act of kindness, in every laugh, in every cheer, Tristyn lives on." Because stories like this never truly end. They live in the hearts of those who remember, and Tristyn Bailey will always be remembered. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We bring you true, chilling stories every day. Tales that shock, haunt, and sometimes even heal. This is Chilling Stories, where every whisper holds a truth, and every truth has a price. We'll see you in the next one.